Hi, how you doing? And welcome to twitch.tv/1030. I'm 1030 and I'm here for your viewing entertainment for maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. If you're into the music that's playing just now, it is made by my mate Paul and his SoundCloud link is in the chat. Should you want to hear more of that. Thank you, Paul, for allowing me to use your music. How's it going, folks? Welcome in. Listen, at the start of the stream, what we like to do is share good news. So if you've got any good news, big or small, I want to know what it is. Get your good news in chat. I want to know what it is. My good news is, I suppose, if I was to try and focus on it, would be behind the scenes I've been building something that I'm going to present in work to show some bosses. I haven't been asked to do it, but I emailed them. I'm like, can I get a meeting next week? I want to show you something cool. And they're like, aye. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to show off this thing that I've made. And the good news is that it's going well, I think. So that could lead to something. Might lead to nothing. They might just go, oh, that's nice, cool. And then we never hear about it ever again. And fair enough if that's the case. But the thing that I've built, without getting into detail, uses Python and stuff like that. So I had a chance to learn all of that. I'm learning about virtual environments, doing it properly, packaging all my dependencies properly, rather than just putting them on the operating system. I've learned about tkinter, which is a library for creating interfaces and stuff for Python. That's kind of cool. You can make your own apps. Do you know you can make your own standalone apps just by using Python? I've learned how to use fastAPI so that I can have a Python script on this computer and have remote people use it to do things on this computer, like controlling programs that then generate work and stuff like that. It's kind of cool, man. It's kind of cool. So they've no idea what I'm about to present, and it might blow their socks off. We'll see how it goes. So that could be quite interesting. And even if work doesn't have a use for it, I've learned quite a lot. And from what I've learned, that means that projects in the future will be a lot easier, because now I've got a more sophisticated palette of tools in which to express my ideas. And that's always a good thing. Freddy, I intentionally closed that door to keep you out, man, because you're being quite annoying today, aren't you? Where are you? He just opened the door and then walked away. Hello folks, how you doing? Welcome in. So that's my good news. What is your good news? Hi Freddy, do you want to sit down nice? Freddy, do you want to sit down nice? Fred's like, no. I want to stand up and be a menace. You going to be a menace today? Fred's bounced back, everybody. He's feeling his normal self, aren't you? I will start at the top. Hello Carivore. Hello Spoggers. Hello RCL Studio. How you doing? Hello Carivore again. Carivore is in with a wee bit of good news. Carivore says, good news. Just in after getting soaked, but it's a nice tidy flat. Amazing Carivore. I hope you dry off good times. Hello Bowdy. Hello back on the SSRIs. Jumper season it is. I've been awfully cold recently. I've had, like, you know when you've got a sore throat for a couple of days, but it isn't actually a sore throat, it just feels like a wee bit of something. It's not like a full-blown sore throat. You alright, Fred? You got an itchy nose, man? Zombie, how you doing? Thank you very much for subbing. Welcome in, Zombie. What's that from? That's not from Michael Jackson's Thriller. And it's not from... What's that from, Zombie? It looks cool. September, did you just take advantage of September, Zombie? So what deals are on the go? I've heard that if you subscribe to me this month, or even give multiple gift subs, depending on terms, conditions and the status of your sub before you subbed and all of this shit that I've read and I can't make sense of it, depending on all of that, you could get some good money off. Zombie, thank you very much. I hope you get a good deal using your September discount. Basin Bruce says, hey, that's that guy that told us that Trump was dead, get him. Here, I pure went out my way to say that he probably isn't dead because nothing good ever happens. Why can't we just have that one thing? Oh, we were so excited, man. It's the hope that gets you, isn't it, with these things? Freddie, I hear mouth noise. Have you picked up a wee bit of something cheeky? He's sitting there like that. Alright, cool. I just need to be across my email. Freddie, what are you eating down there? You want to drop it? You get something nice? Drop it. This is why I wanted you out the room. You're being a cheeky boy. He's wanting attention, but I've been giving him attention all day. And he knows that I come in here and I do my stream. And he's just like that. So you'll steal something. And it'll just be a wee silly wee bit of cardboard or something like that. And then he makes sure that I can hear him go. And then I need to then swap whatever he's got for a bit of peanut butter. And then he knows that that's him, he's got peanut butter. Eh? Nah, it's okay, this way. Is that nice? I'm not actually going to do it. I just want to know what you've got in your mouth. You drop it? You drop it? Did you eat it up? He's got nothing. He's got nothing in his mouth. But how's it going, Freddie? You a good boy, booba snoot? You can't reach your snoot for there, can you? No, you wee guy. Sorry, Trump's not dead. Graham Linehan's still arrested though, so that's quite funny. But I'm pissed off, man. Carnivore the tuna pasta hit the spot. Did everybody get my story? I put out a story earlier on Twitch, but I don't know if anybody looks at them. I certainly don't look at them when other people put out stories. But did yous get a story? Hi, hello, yes, it's Bland, welcome in. Good news, I'm having my first day off in 4 weeks and I'm playing 2 Point Hospital like fuck. What's 2 Point Hospital? Is that kind of like a roller coaster tycoon, like a hospital sim sort of game? That sounds cool, man. John Candy fan, hiya, says, good news, the delay in your stream let me charge my headphones in this between this and let me, amazing. Well, I'm glad you're all charged up. Hello Carver, hello Deal Phantos of Sweden. Luna says, good news, this has been my first full year getting back into reading. Just updated my big spreadsheet and locked in my books for the rest of the year and already got loads lined up for next year. Amazing. I need to start reading fiction again. I've not read fiction for about 20 years. And I really miss it. And instead I'll be like doom scrolling some short videos of just trash, just absolute trash. Henmania 2022 is in. Henmania says, good news, I've got my ADHD diagnosis and waiting for the outcome of my autism assessment. It means after 38 years I'll be properly medicated and should be able to get my life on track. Henmania, that sounds fantastic. If you don't mind me asking, what country are you in? If you don't mind me asking, and how did you get your assessment? Because I would very much like to be tested for ADHD. I'm definitely autistic. I've been diagnosed with that, and but the Scottish government won't give me an ADHD diagnosis because they don't want to know the numbers, because then they would have a number of people who are being untreated or something like that. So instead of address the problem, they're just denying the problem exists via omission of assessment. Because the NHS has been chronically underfunded and all of that. WeShed says, missed your good news. It's not necessarily good news, I was just clutching at straws. Hello WeShed, I've just been building something behind the scenes to show off in work that maybe they will like in work, and if they do like it, then maybe a scope for more work. And if they don't like it, it's still cool because I learned a lot building my thing. Carnivore, you're a sophisticated palette of tools. You okay, Freddy? I heard some wee noises and I looked down and it's just because he's got his paw right in his ear and he's giving it a good scratch. So they were wee satisfied noises, weren't they, pal? Get a satisfied scratch in your ear. He's a wee soul, is our Fred, man. Aren't you, you wee soul? Wee soul. What a legend. Kerryama says, not so good news. I have shingles and it's shite. Shingles? How do you get shingles in this day and age? Jesus Christ. Is that chicken pox twice turns into shingles, isn't it? Ever since I had chicken pox, I noticed... Oi, what you eating? Can I see it? Drop it. Drop it, peanut butter. Drop it, peanut butter. On then, drop it nice. Get you something nice. Drop it. Freddy. He's winding me up today. You drop it nice, get peanut butter, drop it. A tiny screw. Freddy, you can't eat a tiny screw. That's bad. Don't eat tiny screws. He's just looking at me like that. I'll eat tiny screws if I fucking want. Okay, well, I'll put this up here. You're not allowed them. Where did you get that? Naughty. He's just taking the row. He's just like that. Good boy for giving me it. Good boy for surrendering the tiny screw. We got all his food in today. Got a big bag of Fred food, so I've decanted that. I got a new soldering iron tip for my soldering iron, everybody. Big day. I've got some new tip tinner. Remember tip tinner? Received a big package of cool stuff. Is your garden at Halloween? Jesus Christ, zombie. It looks like a film for the 80s. Good work. Kiriyami shingles sounds awful though. I've got the exact same sort of swelling thing at the moment. It's annoying, isn't it? Who knows? Hello Blaketown. Hello everybody. Pablo, John the Human, Chameleon, what's happening? Shingles is brutal, man. Been given antiviral meds, 5 a day for 7 days. They look like suppositories. Double check where you're supposed to put them. I think, because I got chickenpox late in life, and for the point where I got chickenpox onwards, I've not felt quite right since. And that might sound silly, but I think I got some sort of viral something for it. That started because I didn't have bouts of anxiety or panic attacks or anything like that before the shingles. And I remember, I don't think I ever fully recovered for it. I've always felt just really lethargic and things. Sorry, not shingles. I've never had shingles. I'm talking about chickenpox. But I don't know if chickenpox can do that to you. But viral stuff, man, bad gear. Bad gear, isn't it? But all the very best, Kiriyami. I didn't like how he just dismissed the video of bags being dropped out the White House as AI and no one even challenged him on it. I agree, Chameleon. It's almost as if we're being lied to, isn't it? Also, he said that he hadn't seen the video, which I suppose is truthful, maybe. So I think, and I'm not one to stick up for Trump, but he might have just been like, oh, I've not seen it, maybe it's AI. Maybe just that. Because chances of him knowing what the hell is going on is very, very limited. But there was no explanation for his absence. It's weird. I'm over the side pain and a brief spell of being hot and cold. Now I'm just itchy. That's brutal, man. He's no deed yet, Bowdy. Yet. Can confirm the story was seen. Good. That's brilliant. Got the story. Cool. Watched the story. You were in the kitchen with the doggos. Amazing. I looked at it because I thought the notification meant you were online all excited. Well, I didn't know what was best to do. Blast yous with a notification that I'm not live, or just wait until I do come live. Because I like to, you're paying for me to be here and to do this, a lot of you. So, I like to keep you in the loop, you know what I mean? But I've always wanted to know, do Twitch stories actually get seen by anybody? I must say, right now, I'm feeling kind of lightheaded and a wee bit shite. So, not entirely sure where this stream is going to go. By this morning, I've been working on a wee behind the scenes thing for work, unpaid, in my own time, but it's quite exciting. Carvor says, for fuck's sake, one of my eggs just exploded in my air fryer. That's a first. Have you got it on? Did you have it on for too long or something like that? I saw a notification at the same time as I go live. I see. I'm starting 3 bloody problems soon before season 2 comes out. 3 body problem, right? It's passed me by. Luna says, listen, I'll be honest, it's an embarrassing amount of sapphic romance, but also some nice biographical manga, graphic novels, and a couple of fantasy novels. Going to try and get in a bit more non-fiction next year if I can. Class, mate. That's brilliant. Mrs. Bowdyhead Shingles says it was shite. It sounds shite. Stress can trigger shingles. Right. Went to the GP for an ADHD diagnosis and was asked to write an essay about why I wanted an assessment. Fuck that. Seems like a good way of stopping to have them to diagnose. Yes. Seems to me the procedure that it takes to get an ADHD diagnosis is designed specifically to stop people with ADHD from getting it. What I would do if I was you and I needed to do that would be to get something like ChatGPT to write me the essay, but within the essay I would say, by the way, this is assisted by ChatGPT, the thoughts are mine, however this has dealt with the transcription and structure in order to make it coherent. This here is an example of one of the accommodations that I need to make because I believe I might have ADHD. So you're kind of taking what they have set out and you're explaining why you've got difficulty with it because you probably have got ADHD, and you're demonstrating that you have to figure out your own routes around and that you might benefit from a professional because up until this point you've had to figure out your own solutions to problems, but if you had a professional to diagnose, then that could improve multiple other problems in your life that you might not even realise that you had. All the very best and good luck. I just get a flat out deny. They're just like, no, we're not doing it. Because what I really want are these. Dando gave me their old medication which is expired. I've only taken these once and it radically improved everything that I've got bother with for a day. It had side effects and stuff like that, but I've only got a limited number of these and I would just like to have a prescription of these instead. And without going private or something, can I do it? I'd love to go private, but I shouldn't have to because I'm paying tax for the NHS. The country's got enough money to fund the NHS, but we are instead using that money to fund genocide and all of that, aren't we? Anyway, I'm moaning already. Hello, Steph makes stuff. Aye, Fred needs that tiny screw for his hovercraft. He might do. You thinking about building a hovercraft, Freddy? Yeah. He's lying down, he's wagging his tail. Fred's doing good, everybody. He's just a wee bit more annoying. Which is good, it means he's bouncing back. Rah! Rah! It was a Will Smith reference. Hello, Mike Allen, Tasty Screw. It is a Tasty Screw. He wants to become a cyborg. Funk Albert, see when you were over, you were asking about a GBSC upscaler for connecting your retro consoles to an HDMI display. And I got mine working, right? And the way I got mine working is I've cable tied 2 boards together, right? So this bottom board is an old board that you can buy lots of. It's only 20 quid, like this bottom one. And it's designed for arcade owners to upgrade their arcade machines, Street Fighter 2, whatever, to remove a CRT telly and put in an LCD display, but the LCD display won't be able to just connect directly, so arcade people buy a board like this, it's that bit there, and it's only about 20 quid or something. However, you set up all the configuration for that particular arcade, you plug it in and it's all good. And people on the internet have been trying to use something similar for their own home retro video game consoles. But depending on the console, the game region and all of that, you need to like go in and every time you change one of those variables, you need to give this different settings. And it's a pain in the arse. So there's a guy called Rama, I think, that has developed something called the GBSC project, which is a board like this bit that just sort of attaches on to the popular Chinese board, and it allows for this wee wireless device here to control all of these settings on the core board, right? So I bought one of these ages ago because this is the cheap way of doing it. This cost me, about 50 quid in parts, I think, and that's a cheap way of doing it. To buy an off-the-shelf version of this, you could spend 700 and 800 quid just purely to plug a thing into another thing. Fuck that. So I've bought the £50 version, right? And just making sure I'm not streaming on TikTok just now, am I? No, I'm not. Good. But I realised that there's a problem with it, right? So the wee daughter board thing that attaches onto the main board is supposed to do it via like these screws, and they go down and they clamp it together, and when you screw it together it makes contact. You know, there's like sort of pogo pins or something that touches the pins around a main chip on it, and it's sort of hijacking signals in there. But, right, the daughter board doesn't have the screws screwed into it properly. Don't know if you'll be able to see here, but this hole here, wait till you see, this hole here, don't know if you can see it, but the thing on the inside is slightly off center. You can't see it. Right? So where there's supposed to be a clear path through two holes, it's just been cut wrong. So one of the holes is like, so what I found is, if you put screws all the way through it, maybe you could be able to see it in that one. If you put screws all the way through it the way it's supposed to be, it doesn't work because the connections don't meet. So instead of doing that, like you can see that's offset. Do you see that in that hole? That's offset. So instead of using screws, I'm using two cable ties and two like rubber bits, which isn't a good option, but I tell you what, it bloody works. It bloody works. So instead of spending 700 quid, 800 quid, I've fixed it with some cable ties and two wee bits of rubber. And a fair bit of hot glue as well. I spunked loads of hot glue in it, and it seems to be solid now, so I'm quite happy about it. I think the manufacturer of the wee daughter board knows that there's a problem, because that wee daughter board is now half price on, I think it's retrorgb.co.uk or retroupgrades.co.uk or something like that. So it's now half price because they don't want, I don't know why, but they're trying to get rid of the remaining stock and it's discontinued. But I've managed to fix mine. It looks like shit, but it works. I don't think it needs to look good. And it works. So that's quite cool. So in order for everything to be set up properly, what I need, the next thing, the final thing that will make everything brilliant, is if I get a SCART distributor, so that I can plug multiple SCART cables into a box, and there should be two SCART outputs. One will go into this telly, and the other one will go into that device there, which has got an HDMI out, which goes into this computer. It would then have an effect of me being able to play the PlayStation, the Mega Drive, everything else on this screen, completely low latency, perfect CRT gaming experience, but at the same time can split the signal and output into my capture card so that you can see it. And if I get something like that set up, it means that I can play things like Metal Gear Solid on a PlayStation 1, or I want to go through, there's a game called Blazing Dragons. It was kind of like a Monty Python thing, and I never finished it. I got really close to the end. I'd also quite like to go through like Tomb Raider 1 on the PS1. We could maybe try and complete Streets of Rage. I could maybe get into Sonic 1 speedruns and all of that sort of stuff. We could do it live. But in order to get that SCART distributor, It's like 70 quid or something like that. And I'm just beginning to, I don't know, like I've already spent a lot of money on all of this shite. So that's I think the last thing that I need. But I thought I could just get like a 1 SCART to 2 output splitter, but it needs to be amplified, because if you take 1 SCART signal and then split it into 2, because it's analog, the 2 outputs are like dimmer and out of range of what the telly and stuff expects. So it needs to be active, it needs to be powered. And that's something that you can't find unless you go to people. The only folk that are across this, because SCART is an outdated technology, the only folk across this are people who are enthusiastic about retro video games and folk who've made like new products to interface with old technology, and folk who are doing that know that idiots like me will pay a wee bit of a premium. Well, I won't, I'll always go for the cheap option, but so that's why an 8 SCART to 3 out SCART distributor costs like 70 quid. I'm like just for a SCART box, man. So maybe at some point, if I can adjust my finances, maybe in a few months I will achieve that. Cool. My landlord's not convinced that we paid rent last week, but we did pay rent last week, and they're asking me to confirm. But you know what? I'll do that off stream because I'm busy at the moment. How much did I miss? Page didn't load as I was stuck looking at offline placeholder. That's a wee shame, Amptrex. The page should have loaded. Freddy, what are you doing? Freddy, out of there. Freddy, there's dangerous wires everywhere, mate. This is why I didn't want you in, because you're getting all stuck in the wires. You be careful. He's a cheeky boy today and he's wanting attention. You're wanting attention, aren't you? Well, you're getting it. Freddy's back to his brilliant best. Amtrex, I don't think you missed much, mate. I think it's alright. Never had either. Still think I might get mega chickenpox one day. Chickenpox was awful. He blamed it on AI and then said out loud, anything bad I just blame on AI. What a guy. Bad. So he's admitting that it's bad. Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, when asked, there was a video a couple of days ago where you chucked bin bags, or where somebody was seen chucking bin bags out of the White House, and he responded, oh, I didn't see it, it's probably AI. Then he said, anything bad I just blame on AI, which means that he probably does know what the bin bags thing's as, and he knows that it's bad. So he's just admitted what you saw was something bad. There was some other question he replied with, we'll have a very good answer for that in 2 weeks, and dismissed it completely. Couldn't help laughing at how much nonsense it was. Well, the answer for that question's up my gran's bit. Anyway. Really annoying he's still alive though, innit? Heartbreaking that he's still alive. Heartbreaking. The Twitch story helped. Good. I might start doing Twitch stories then. I'm just coming off the back of the flu. Started off lightheaded on Sunday and Monday morning. I couldn't move. Well, I hope I'm doing good because I've got a lot of stuff that I need to do. The jumper is lovely, but it looks bloody roasting. I've been freezing. I'm a wee bit too hot just now, but I'm a wee bit freezing over the past few days whenever I'm streaming. So I thought I'd stick this on. This is knitted by my ma. It's a 1030 ma original. It's good, isn't it? It's part of the 1030 jumper collection. But we're getting to that time, that's the end of summer now, so we'll be getting back into the 1030 Twitch streaming jumpers, just in time for Christmas. I like that if you're watching a stream you can click through the Twitch stories and it'll take you back to the stream afterwards. It doesn't just put you dead end or the homepage. Cool. I might start getting into watching Twitch stories. His absence was public. He was golfing for the past 2 days. Roll call website has the public itinerary released by the White House. Also records when he leaves and arrives at the White House. I see. There was lots of excited speculation And it's a wee shame that we got all our hopes up, because it is the hope that kills us, man. It's brutal. Anyway, it was 8 minutes in. I put large ones in for 10 minutes and the yolk comes out nice. Cool. Well, carnivore, I don't know. I've never had mine explode. Was it a bastard to clean? I did that with my CV recently. I wrote a big jumbly thing about myself and asked various AIs to rewrite it as a CV and covering letter. I think it's a good use of AI, particularly for people that have otherwise got difficulty writing formally like that. Hello Avgas, how you doing? Do you find it's more satisfying to set things up and tweak them, or to have it all working properly and just enjoy streaming? Cable knit sweater, autumn already? Avgas, what do you mean? Like, in what context do I find it more satisfying to set things up and tweak them, or to have it all working properly and just enjoy streaming? Like, there's always a battle. See, because on stream I've got custom things happening. I've got like bubble blasts like this, or I've got AI versions of Stone Cold Steve Austin, or I've got my mate Paul's music in the background that's controlled via a batch script and all of that sort of stuff. So for all that stuff, it would be wonderful if it was just working perfectly. But all that stuff I've made myself, and anybody who's ever developed anything will know that it never works perfectly until you build something. You make it exist first, and then you see what's wrong with it, and then you just iterate, and you make more and more and more iterations until it's kind of stable. So there are certain things that are stable now, like the bubble blast stuff. See all this light setup? I coded that myself. It's just using regular dumb lights. It isn't using fancy Elgato lights or anything like that. That was a project that took me about a month or something to have clever, intelligent stream lights. And for, 6 months afterwards, there was always like, this bit doesn't work very well, that bit doesn't work very well. But then I did another iteration and another pass, and now that's solid. But then other things aren't solid. So right now, like that audio is about to stop, and when that audio does stop, which is getting played here, right, there is a PowerShell daemon that's looking at the title of this audio player, and when that title changes, it'll just stop the audio. Oh no, it didn't work. Look at that, it just didn't work. A new track has... See? There is an example, right? Playback stopped attempting to force foobar gracefully, and then it closes. So there is something, usually that works, for whatever reason in that instance right there it didn't work, and that's something that hasn't quite got to a stable state. So to answer your question, I would definitely much prefer if it all worked brilliant. But in order to make things work brilliant, you have to endure a massive period of them working terribly, of them no working at all, of them working a wee bit shite, of them kinda working, and then of them mostly working, and then of them working brilliant. But of course it would be wonderful if everything just worked brilliant off the bat, but quite often it never does. And the persistence and determination that it takes to take something from concept to completion, that determination and persistence is what separates people that make things versus people that don't make things. And there's lots of projects that I haven't got to the end of. But for every 10 of them, there's one project that I did get to the end of. You know what I mean? Did that answer your question, Avgas, or were you talking about something completely different? DeepSeek did the best with Copilot, a close second. Interesting. Have you used GPT-5 yet? Amtrak says I recently got my ADHD diagnosis and treatment about a month ago. It changed my life forever. Adderall has saved my life, but I had to go to the private route, even with insurance from my employer, but my out-of-pocket costs were only $200. That's amazing. That's really cool. I would like to get a big quantity of these, and I'm willing to break the law if I have to, because I've tried to do it through legal routes and I can't, and I need that medication to be functional. So I might try the dark web or whatever, because I'm forced to do it, because the conventional routes I've just been hitting dead ends because of the terrible way. So the Tories, it always goes back to the Tories. If anybody can score me some of this shit. And acid, by the way, I've been unable to find acid for about 10 years. Anyway, you can't do that on Twitch. Freddy, back up, man. Back up. What are you doing down there? Are you being a good boy? You been a good boy? Yeah. Hey, back up, man. Lie down. Fred's bored and he's just browsing and all my stuff. You lie down nice? He's like, no. Anyway, my Lux projector has a little web front end for stuff like that. It's dead handy. Cool. I've got wee web front ends in that thing that I just showed you, using an ESP32. Using a wee web front end for all my lights. A wee web front end in my PlayStation to control stuff. And then I've got loads of these as well for turning things off and on. So I'm slowly but surely making all the tools like IoT devices. Yeah, you just lying down nice. Just lying down nice, not causing anybody any bother at all, aren't you, Freddy? Good boy. Hello, Pursue, how you doing? Does it use an ESP32? Yes, it does. Absolutely does. Although you can use other controllers as well, but this one is either an ESP32 or an ESP8266. Can't I remember? Do excuse me. Wee bit of a sore throat. Trying to explain cable management to pets is a lost cause, it really is. So many wires, Fred might end up like that lady in Superman 2 and become a computer. Freddy, imagine you became a computer. Eh? Imagine you became a computer, big guy. Oh, Freddy doggy. Oh, Freddy doggy's just a big computer, isn't he? He's just trying to get into a lot of rubbish. Have you tried on the t-shirt yet? I have not, wee shed. I will do. I really want someone to just yell out, "You just said that, you fucking roaster!" to Trump. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? He also claimed the White House windows are sealed. Interesting. I mean, you imagine they would be, but who knows? Anyway. Hello, my dwarfer, how you doing? You alright? Air frying eggs is a good thing. If you want to make a boiled egg, stick an egg in an air fryer for 7 minutes. Mine is on the bacon setting. Make sure it's not too hot though, otherwise it might explode. Also, Zafra Cakes tried it in the past and they said that it didn't come out too good. I think it's a skill issue, personally. But that's how I make my boiled eggs. And it's good because you don't need any cleaning up or anything like that. Egg wasn't a disaster, it was more like an egg sneeze. Came out fine. Good. Orange Muppet and all those hideous Ming, the merciless right-wing clowns, seem a distraction from people behind them, I'd suggest. Who knows what's going on? I don't think that a lot of what is actually happening just now will emerge until like 10 years down the line or something. A wee sore throat, everybody. Technology always fails under demonstration, I've found. Aye. It's the way it goes. Well, I've got a tech demo that I need to show some bosses on Monday. And I hope it doesn't fail by that point. So I don't think I'll be on it evenings throughout this week because I'm working on a wee behind the scenes secret project. And I want to get it as solid as it can be. But in the past week or so, I've learned how to make my own API. So I can have a thing on this computer that any computer in the world can send commands to, or any AI agent or whatever. So I could spin up an AI agent and say, see in Photoshop, do this for me. And it'll be like, aye, no bother. And it'll do it for me. I'm finding it difficult talking, everybody. I've just got a very wee slight sore throat. I won't keep talking about it, but it might mean that I'm not on for too long in order to then maybe give you a big full stream tomorrow. But I want to be streaming. I really want to be streaming. I mean that if you had a month and the money and no other real obligations, would you set it all up and have it 10 out of 10 so that when you want to stream and just turn it on and sit down, there's always going to be new ideas? No, that covered it. Cheers. Aye. I've got to see for all of my stuff, my number one problem is time. Definitely. Number one problem is time. See if I could just do a Bernard's watch thing. I would love to go around and just get everything set up perfect. But I've never had that. Everything's always been kind of half good, half done. Everything's always in a state of flux. But it's just about keeping going into it, because perfectionism is the enemy of progress. And if you want everything to be just absolutely perfect, then, you know, like as well, there's an interesting thing that's happening with this particular stream. So when I work on creative projects, I invite all of you to watch me work on the projects, right? And so because of that, you can see things that are a work in progress, or things that maybe don't get finished, or things that don't really lead anywhere. Like see that we did the character animator thing 2 days ago. I probably won't go back to that. I didn't enjoy it. It didn't turn out how I was wanting. But it was a research sort of work in progress route. But for other people who don't invite you into their studio, all you see from them is their finished outcome, their final outputs. And it's important for everybody to don't compare your work in progress to somebody else's showreel. You know what I mean? And I think in order to be creative, you need to just throw multiple things against a wall and see what sticks, and always be willing to revise and whatever. But the biggest challenge for me is most of my ideas aren't profitable, and therefore few people will give me money to take a month or take 2 months to achieve them. So everything just sort of has to be done in between other things. What's the medication you've got there? I don't think you can get it anymore. It's called Elvance. It's for ADHD people. And I think I'm ADHD. I probably shouldn't be taking this. But a friend gave me these, and it's incredibly useful for me. I've tried to get some via the NHS, and they refuse to give me a diagnosis, because that place just shut down. That bit shut down. So without a diagnosis, I can't get treatment or medication. So I'm having to do it illegally by taking other people's medication. Plenty of folk in here could get you acid in 10 minutes, I'm sure. Rye3D, you know me, my notorious history of being into things, right? I've been into lots of different things throughout my illustrious career as a mad guy. Only ever encountered acid like twice, maybe, in my entire life. And I've been looking for it. Anyway. I might get you a wee DM there, Rye3D, right? Might get you a wee DM. I've tried to get methylphenidate, similar to that, on the dark web, but no luck. Ah, fuck, man. I suppose because it's like a pharmaceutical. But check out the state that we're in. We shouldn't have to get prescription stuff like this for some shady person. Should just be able to have it. Anyway, I'm not going to start moaning. Careful the bottle doesn't have Dando's details on it. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Definitely doesn't. It's expired in June this year, though. But I don't think expiry on medication is actually something you need to pay attention to. Anyway, I've been wary of getting ADHD meds on the dark web because there's such a shortage. I assume it must be a fertile environment for weird counterfeit stuff. I think you might be right. And just theft and crime and stuff. I've got that other gear here you can have. Cheers, Ray. Thank you very much. I don't really know the difference myself, but if I'm up for trying it, I'm absolutely up for trying it. Thanks, Ray. I don't know much about that Peter Thiel guy. I'll need to look into him. Are they all disparate web front ends, like all different localhost ports? That'll be an interesting problem to solve. Collate all of that and make a single management UI. Certain things need a front end and other things don't need a front end. So for all the things that I've got round about here, my central UI is StreamerBot. So it's all like HTTP GET requests or HTTP POST requests. So rather than have a front end with a GUI that I can click and stuff, I'm using StreamerBot to send those requests, but then to control StreamerBot, I'm using like my Stream Deck here. So I've just got a physical button if I want to turn that light off. And it means that I don't need to spin up a browser, go to an IP address, scroll down to the bit, click the bit. It's just here. You know what I mean? Or I could ask HAL to turn a light off if I've programmed that or whatever. I'm routing everything through StreamerBot because all of this stuff is for stream anyway. But then in stuff that I'm using, projects that I'm building for work or whatever, I've just got into ffffffffassdae, and I still don't know it very well, but that allows you to build your own API that, if you want, can have like an interface with it as well, and you can just put it all in that. It's quite exciting. But for all these projects, they weren't built at the same time. And because they weren't built at the same time, the tools that I'm using for each one's slightly different. Because as I'm learning about this stuff, my knowledge of tools and things are growing. You know what I mean? So none of this would be ready for me to hand over to somebody else. None of it is production ready, but it works well enough for me to use for like as my own tools, which is different than like if you were to author tools to try and sell them or whatever. I use ADHD Advisor, site's name, not sure if it's strictly for USA, excellent service, they even worked with me due to financial hardship. Amtrix, that sounds cool. That sounds dynamite. I don't think my chances of getting it in Scotland would be in any way good unless ADHD Testing UK, 100% online and NHS compliant, but I don't think that'll be compliant for NHS Scotland. I'll need to look into it because I really think I would benefit. I'm definitely autistic. Definitely autistic. I would go as far as to say I'm autistic as fuck. And I'm sure I'm ADHD, but I need a medical professional to talk to me. Quite sure I'm ADHD. Get problems with executive function quite often. I'm always like, just look at, the frame looks good. This frame looks good, right? It's kind of clean. That's a bit mental. But everything out of frame is just a big chaotic mess, man. Not to mention my multiple ongoing projects and special interests and obsessions and everything else. And my inability to do various other stuff good unless I've tanned these fucking power ectos. When getting substances from unknown sources in the UK, you can send a sample to Wedenos. They lab test it for free and put the results online. It's run by Public Health Wales. Oh, cool, man. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Hello, John the Human. What were we talking about? Not too hot? About 160? I don't know. I don't know. Unless I was next to my air fryer, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I think it depends on your altitude as well and how hot the eggs are. So see if you're in the UK, right? You don't need to keep your eggs in the fridge. Did you know that? If you're in the United Kingdom, don't keep your eggs in the fridge. If you're in America, keep your eggs in the fridge. Why is this? What's this about? Wait till I tell you. In the UK, when the eggs are laid, we don't then wash them, which is why sometimes you've got like a bit of stuff on the outside shell of the egg, right? But by not washing them, that means there's a protective membrane sort of thing that's invisible around the egg, and it's protective and it's good, and it stops like badness getting into the egg. However, in America, they wash the eggs after they get popped out. And the washing procedure removes that protective membrane. And so therefore, for your own health, you're best keeping the eggs in the fridge. If you go to an American supermarket, the eggs are in the fridge. If you go to a UK supermarket, the eggs are on the shelf. Why am I talking about this? Because it matters about the temperature of the egg. I take my eggs very seriously, right? I take my eggs very seriously. So if you're boiling an egg from the fridge or boiling an egg that's currently room temperature, there's a difference there. The physics is totally different, man, as to what's actually happening and what's going on. So I will always cook my eggs at room temperature. And that might be a variable there as well that a lot of people are having bother with when making boiled eggs in their air fryer. Pablo Diablo says, I've tried boiled eggs in the air fryer that came out very rubbery and impossible to peel. That sounds like it's been either too high or on for too long. Anytime your eggs are hard to peel, they've been overcooked. Piece of piss at 120 for 9 to 10 minutes, depending on size and amount of eggs. Amazing. When making a boiled egg, if it is boiled in water, the altitude that you're boiling it at is another variable that you can consider. The diameter of the egg, the temperature of it, and the altitude, because that altitude determines the boiling point and all of this shit. So I take my eggs very seriously. I used to have a mathematical formula for calculating the perfect time to boil an egg if I was boiling an egg in a pot of water. But I don't do that shit anymore. I'm entirely an air-fried boiled egg man now. But there you go. Curse of the demo is a real thing, and I always try and put off showing anything until it's stable. Aye. Well, for the thing I'm building just now, I could keep building it, right? It could keep building. But I want to show people in work like 3 bits of it that work. And then depending on the feedback there, I will determine if I continue or don't continue the project. But I'm looking forward to it, man. It's cool. It's been a wee while since I've built something. I like building things. Sore throat, man. Amazon fan has been driving around my estate all day and I've been number 8 on the list the whole time. Jings. I've had a lot of deliveries today already. Freddy, you okay, pal? Yeah, Freddy dog. Oh boy. I've noticed I need to get in touch with the animal hospital again because Fred has got a big sort of bald patch on his neck, but he's recently been into the animal hospital where he got an IV and he gets some other chemotherapy treatment. But she didn't say that she was shaving the bit next to his lymph node. He's got a big bald patch here. We didn't notice it until last night because he's awfully jowly. He's got a lot of fur and flesh and material around about there. So I want to know if the bald patch is a result of the vet shaving him to like do a treatment, or if the localized, because the cancer is in his lymph nodes, if the localized badness has somehow made the fur to fall out or something. So I need to get in touch and ask that, eh, Freddy? Because I don't know anything about all of this. I can fix computers and stuff, but not very good at fixing dugs. What is even happening, Gary Black? What's happening? The trick for peeling eggs is to not overcook them. 100%. 100%. Here's another boiled egg top tip, okay? If you're boiling an egg and you're going to eat it later, imagine you're boiling an egg for tomorrow's lunch or something. You're going to have a wee boiled egg in your lunch, maybe a wee salad, something like that, right? Always, immediately after the egg is ready, put it in freezing water. Always, always, always. And if you don't do that, if you let it cool down naturally, chances are when you open it up, it'll be all discoloured and it'll be green and stuff on the inside. How do you avoid that? You put it in freezing cold water as soon as it's cooked. Good luck, everybody. Good luck making your eggies. It's the same as Vyvanse in the USA. All right. If anybody can get me a big crate of this stuff, I would thank you very much. And some acid. Sorry we couldn't have a party last night. I know, I see you. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? Listen, don't worry, you will die one day. Gary Blank says, heard the other day, if you do get adult ADHD diagnosis, you're supposed to inform the DVLA, car insurance, home insurance, and life insurance. So actually, the closing of all the services is saving people a fortune. Interesting. Well, I don't drive or have home insurance. I do have life insurance, but I don't have the others. So I would like just these though. See, rather than having to do, I would do all that admin if it meant I got treatment for what I think is wrong with me. But that all does sound like a pain, especially for somebody who's got ADHD. Normally, with meds, the use by date is just the time until they can be definite about the dosage. Aye. Do not buy shoes off the dark web. Do you know, I've never actually used the dark web. See, like Tor and Onion and all of that sort of stuff. Well, I tell you, I used it once, right? So there was an Aphex Twin album came out, and he released it on the dark web. And so, or he released it a track list or something like that. The press release was on the dark web because it was like he was doing a gimmicky sort of press release thing to advertise Cyro, his last album, I think. And so I read about this. I got an email through because I'm in the Warp mailing list. And I'm like, well, what is Onion Network and Tor and stuff like that? So I downloaded it and I figured it out. And I went to the page for Aphex Twin, and it was all filled with like type, like dig 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 dig, like pure computer code, sort of stylized for effect to make it all look all like digital and hackery and stuff like that. And he had his album artwork and stuff. So I screenshotted the page and I put it on Twitter saying, this is what you get when you go on the dark web thing. Look at this Aphex Twin thing, everybody, Aphex Twin. And it sort of kicked off on Twitter my screenshot because a lot of people couldn't be arsed downloading all the stuff and everything. So my screenshot was like bubbling away. And then news websites started to report it. But the news websites, as it turned out, used my screenshot. How did I know? Because, as it turns out, a lot of the numbers that were on the page wasn't just random numbers, it was unique identifiers for my browser and my computer. My IP address wasn't there, because I would have spotted that, but there were other unique identifiers for my browser. And lots of media companies and news websites just stole that image. So all of my unique identifiers were on the Guardian website, was on CNN, Pitchfork, all of this sort of stuff, because they had just pinched my image without credit off of Twitter to use as a thing for their story. And it's quite funny that I know that they pinched it because nobody else would have had those unique identifiers. So it's a wee bit sort of scary, but I don't use Tor or Onion or anything like that. So I don't think there could have been a potential for any sort of attack or anything. It was just an address rather than any credentials or anything. But I thought it was quite interesting. And that there is my one and only experience with Tor and the dark web and the Onion network. But I might go on and see if I can buy some illegal prescription drugs. Anyway. Where are we? Mogurts have transformed motion graphics. They sort of have and they haven't, Steve Zissou. I'm still skeptical about Mogurts because I don't like the interface within After Effects. So if you create a Mogurt and you give it to an editor that's in Premiere, that's cool, man. They can use it all and that's brilliant. But if you're somebody who uses After Effects all the time and you want to create Mogurts to use in your own comps, the Essential Graphics panel's like a pain in the arse, man. So if I'm building anything modular for me to import into After Effects, 9 times out of 10 I will just use traditional After Effects expressions, like drop-down menus, text boxes, radio buttons and stuff that are already built into effects as expressions, rather than create a Mogurt, because I'll always be in After Effects and I will never be in Premiere. But it depends on your workflow, and it would be great if Adobe made it easier to import that stuff into After Effects and to use it. Imagine you had a wee palette inside After Effects and you could just be like, oh, I need that and I need one of them, and you just populate it into your comp. That would be cool. But it seems to be a technology that's designed to replace After Effects people rather than to assist them. But they are cool. It is interesting that you can do that. Peter Thiel was being interviewed, and as a joke, the guy said, it would be good for the human race to endure, though, right? And he just ummed and ahed. You think humans should survive into the future? Long pause to think. Billionaires 100% want us dead. Imagine not being able to decide if life on Earth ending would be good or bad. Isn't it true that the population, there is a crisis when it comes to our population density? Not in the sense of like being scared that, I'm not talking about in a country, I'm talking about worldwide, right? So I'm not talking about an argument for like, stop the boats and all of that shit. Fuck all of that, man. I'm talking about in the world. I think it's sort of ramping up or something, isn't it? And so then there might be issues to do with scarcity of water and other resources and stuff. And I think this might be the start of like a villain origin arc where in order to save the world, we need to kill half of the world population or something like that. Like if we were writing a film, if we were writing fiction, if this was a movie, that would be how somebody who's really well intentioned could end up turning a wee bit mental and turn into an actual supervillain. So I don't know what the answer for all of that is. It's all complicated, isn't it? Because we can't just kill half of us, because who decides? If only there was a way that you could just identify who gets to live and who gets to die. As soon as you get into that territory, man, badness, absolute badness. But I don't even know if all of that's true, man, because I'm reading that, and then at the same time, I'm reading that birth rates are declining and stuff like that. So both of those things can't really be true. But I don't know too much about this Peter Thiel guy, and everything I read points towards him being a silly man filled with nonsense. Hello, Devon Inc., how you doing? I've never kept eggs in the fridge. Same here, Chameleon. I've kept them in the fridge this summer because it's fucking roasting. Definitely not 160, so as I missed that. Max 120. That was the first time I ever had an egg even slightly pop at 120. Carivore says 120. Someone's job to stick wee feathers onto random eggs and give you a peace of mind that they are dirty. I would do that job. So much egg wrong in this stream. You all need to do your eggs a bit better. The Americans washed their eggs because they failed to control the salmonella problem. The UK did better, so it's not as critical. I see. Didn't know all the ins and outs, but I know that that's why fridge and stuff is a thing. Basically took a nude selfie of your PC and posted it. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Carivore? Have I doxed myself? This is the risk of me being behind in the chat, because you're replying to something that I've forgotten that I've said. And then I posted a full scan of my passport. Am I talking about doxing myself or doxing Dando? Is this because of the Dando information on the bottle? I forget what I was talking about. My goodness. There are probably too many humans on the whole planet. I think that's what the issue is. Some pops are booming, but most are collapsing. Logan's Run is going to be a reality. I mean, how would you do it ethically, right? See if you did have to get rid of half of us. How would you do it? Like, killing people? You couldn't do that, right? Couldn't just kill people? Because that'll look bad. So, instead of killing half the people that are here, you could maybe prevent more people from being made. You know? And then over a longer time, you could sort out if indeed the world was overpopulated. So what you could do is enforce an incentive for people to not have children or to only have one child. But then you get into dodgy territory that we've seen with the one child problem that's happened in China and stuff like that, right? Because that didn't work great for multiple horrific reasons. And then if you're talking about like stuff like forced sterilization and things like that, that's a hellish thing that just isn't ethically sound. So, and as soon as you start thinking about controlling the population and who gets to procreate and who doesn't, then you're venturing into mad Nazi ideology, like eugenics stuff and things like that as well. So I wonder if there is a clear-cut... This is maybe a problem for AI. If it turns out, and that's a big if it is essential to reduce the world's population, is there an ethical way of doing it? Would it be unethical to not reduce the world's population if we had to? So then you're getting into a weird paradox of ethically the right thing to do might be something that is unethical. I'm glad I'm not having to make these decisions. I'm glad that I could just stick on Sonic the Hedgehog and, you know, blast through Spring Yard Zone or something a couple of times and let somebody else worry about this. But I think about it, man. But maybe Logan's Run, maybe you reach 30 and then you get banished. Or you go up the carousel. Eggs are always a winner. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Hella fucking busy, but thriving. Good. It's good to be busy sometimes. Population of the world is still growing, but the growth is slowing down. Good. I do think they vaccinate your chickens versus salmonella, and that's what makes it feasibly safe. If you know us, Americans and the government mandating vaccines, aye, there's a whole lots of people feel very strongly about all of that, don't they? However, doesn't American farming now just have like a monoculture of just like basically two industrial massive farms in America that's supplying all the food to everybody? And so if all the eggs are more or less coming from the same place, surely then I don't want to think about industrial farming, man. It'll make me sad. Let's move on. By this Peter Thiel guy. Oh, my screenshot of the dark web. Got you. Thanks. Got you. Left-handers are out for a start. Nut allergies. You lot are gone. People who can't park. Yep. I think what we should do is we invite people in, kind of like a job interview, right? And they're going in just to be like not means-based tested, like personality-based tested, right? And they go in for a job interview, but when they're in the waiting room, it's just them and a box with a wee dog in it. It's a cute wee dog. And there's hidden cameras. And if the people are nice to the dog, they go through and they get the interview and they don't even worry about it. Nothing's ever happened. But if the people are nasty to the dog, trapdoor, and they disappear. You don't see them ever again. Trapdoor closes. Next, somebody comes in. Oh, there's a wee dog. A wee dog. And they just toddle into the next room and everything's fine. I think it needs to be something like that. Something automated and invisible. And that would test just the judge of character. We would need some sort of allowances to people who've previously maybe had dog trauma or something like that. If they've been attacked as a child or something, we'll give allowances, right? We're not cruel here. We'll give allowances and, you know, adjust accordingly and all of that sort of stuff. But I don't know. I'm not serious about any of this, obviously, because we're talking about big, actual scary stuff. I'm not serious about any of it. Anyway, if you have an autism diagnosis, you should be able to bolt the ADHD one on easily. Either speak to your psychiatrist or escalate it with the GP. Spoke to the GP. GP said that the ADHD assessment place in my area has just been shut down, and there's no mechanism to talk to anybody within the NHS about ADHD. So that's cool, isn't it? It's just brick wall. And the only way that I can proceed is via private healthcare, which will cost tons of money. And, right, my GP said that even if I go private to get the ADHD assessment, the NHS won't recognise a private assessment. It has to be an NHS assessment. But they refuse to give me one because the place that do that was shut down a couple of years ago. Doctor's like, sorry, but you're fucked. Ta-ta. Good luck, mate. Ta-ta. So I messaged my GP. Sorry, I messaged my MP to complain about this. First time I've ever messaged an MP. They get back saying, right, we will look into this right away. Could you sign this thing that allows us to look at your medical files? And I was like, yep, signed, sent away. And that was about 4 months ago. Haven't heard anything back since. But all of this, my path that I told you, all that information is about like 6 months old was the last time I did all of that. Somebody in my dad's dart club has written a biography and uploaded it to Wikipedia for a laugh of my dad's ability to play darts. And my sister found it, just like, I don't know how she managed, and then put it in the family group chat of like, the fuck's this? My dad's like, it's a laugh, don't worry about it. But it's now vanished. I think it's now just gone. So it's quite funny. Wikipedia vandalism about my dad. Ask the woman about the autism stuff or about the global population stuff. The ethical way is to taper off the birth rate so it's less babies are born. Kind of like the emergent behaviour of complex system that capitalism is doing because kids are too expensive to have. Aye. And life is too chaotic and unstable to be able to care for a child, for a lot of people. Rhinoceros Jimmy's are rustled a wee bit. Jimmy's are rustled. Hello, llama. How you doing? Could we not just eat each other? Maybe. Solves the food and population crisis in one and can't see any downsides. Some of the downsides are, right, if I'm eating a human being, God knows what they've been taking. They might be on anabolic steroids. They might be on opiates. Human blood is like bad quite often depending on the individual that you're talking about. So that would be a downside. That would stop me from eating people. But other than that, I'm up for it, man. Wee tasty snack. Have someone serve them a drink as well and judge them on how they treat the staff? Yes, Pablo Diablo. Yes. If you comment, well done, amazing, on the AI picture of the child who made the Taj Mahal out of matchsticks with the caption, this child made this and no one cares, you're gone. Aye, aye, aye. Maybe we just need an audit on the Facebook activity of people. How you doing, Llama, mate? Welcome in. Captain Spork, thank you very much for subbing, Captain Spork. So disappointed how Trump rumours turned out, but seeing your face brighten my day, aye. Captain Spork, did you not resub very, very recently, as in like less than a week ago? Because I recognise this profile picture. Or is it just because I wasn't on for a bit, the way the resubs have fallen? Because I recognise this profile picture, and it wasn't a month ago I saw it, it was sooner than that. I'm really sorry that I got your hopes up that Trump died, everybody. I'm really sorry about that. But my hopes were up. And these days, hope is all you've got, man. But it's the hope that kills you quite often, isn't it? But listen, everybody, we need to be brave about this. We need to take a moment and feel our feelings, right? Yes, we are sad. Yes, it is devastating that he's still alive, right? But let's just be strong, keep the heat, and rest assured he will die one day. He really will. And on top of that, right, if you just need a wee bit of a pick-me-up, Graham Linehan got arrested and everybody's written him. They're photoshopping his head 15% bigger than what it is and stuff like that. That's funny. So we need to find humour where we find it, right? And although it would be hilarious if Trump died, he didn't die, okay? But there's always humour out there to be found. And we should be content with the fact that Graham Linehan is a big roaster. But am I sad? I am sad. But sometimes you just need to get on with life, right? Does ignoring the dog because you always feel uncomfortable around them count as being mean to the dog? Chameleon, it will be a dog that nobody could feel uncomfortable around. It would be a tiny, fluffy, wonderful, tiny puppy. It would be the type of dog that, like, without a shadow of a doubt, anybody, even somebody with a fear of dogs or whatever, it would look like a Pixar generation and how cute it is. There would be no ambiguity that the dog is definitely not a threat or whatever. But then also there would be a screening process for people who are uncomfortable or whatever, and there would be a slightly different test for them as well. Don't worry. Don't worry. Depressed now, thanks. Welcome to the Twitch stream, Kate. Hiya, how's it going? I've been on a fucking downer recently, and I'm sorry if I'm imprinting that on you lot. That's why I do good news at the start of the stream. Anybody else get any good news? Go on then. MD, get any good news? Resubbed yesterday, but Twitch gave me the option to share. Alright, thanks, Spork, thank you. Rebellions are built on hope, that's true. One day you will wake up to his obituary, aye. See if he outlives me. Oh, I'm going to be angry. I did have to argue with the GP for the assessment, which was needlessly stressful. I couldn't even argue. The guy was just like that. Doesn't exist anymore, mate. Doesn't exist anymore. Was it yourself that said his head has edges? Aye. No, talking about Graham Linehan, I said his head has corners. Because it does, man. Usually I don't make fun of the way people look. Right? Because there's multiple other reasons to attack Graham Linehan. However, Graham Linehan makes fun of how people look. And he looks fucking stinking. So I will attack how he looks. I think that's fair game. But usually I wouldn't comment on anybody's looks, even if they're an ultra baddie. Because if there's an ultra baddie, if they are an ultra baddie, there's usually another reason to, I like to target people's arguments rather than them as an individual. But with Graham Linehan, these arguments don't need to be tackled because they're quite obviously fucking rank rotten. So I just don't like him as a person as well. I just find him visually fucking repulsive, man. I don't think that guy should be going after folk, man. Fucking the neck on him. Anyway, I want to sit down with Graham Linehan, just be like that. What are you doing? I'd love that, actually. I'd love a... Well, he's that desperate for attention now, isn't he? Just... Pepper's snoring. I just heard a wee... That was cute. I don't think you would have heard it on the microphone, but that was really good. Graham Linehan is that starved of attention just now that it was him that wrote the Substack that means that we now know that he got arrested yesterday, right? So all of this news story came from him, which means he wants people talking about him. So I wonder if it would be possible to do some sort of hoax. Like maybe like Bilal and me create a podcast where we're pretending to be right wing or something like that. Like a men's rights podcast. We do it under a pseudonym. And then invite Graham Linehan on. And we're on a Zoom with Graham Linehan. And just fucking rip him. Kind of like if Borat wasn't a CIA psyop. If it was just somebody actually satirising that. I don't know. I'm not going to do it. Bilal won't be up for it. He's a very busy man. But you know what I mean? Something like that could be fun. Because I think it'd be quite easy to fool Graham Linehan into thinking that people care about what he's saying. Good news, I had to dive home at lunch and Beadlon's Kickstarter sticker pack was waiting for me on the doorstep. Nice wee surprise. That's amazing. I didn't fill that in. So I did contribute to Beadlon's Kickstarter thing and I didn't fill in any of the information. I wonder if I'm entitled to, I think I put in like 50 quid or something like that. Wonder if I'm entitled to those things. I'll need to look into my email. Good news was a lovely wedding this weekend. And we camped in a tent and everything, and it made me realise how much I love being out in nature. So heading out again this weekend. Captain Spork, that sounds class, mate. That sounds brilliant. Kate says, I do find it odd that doctors here don't make any exceptions for anything that would make sense. I asked for the NHS to help with the cost of Monjaro. I'd still pay something, a drug with proven success, and I got a one sentence response which included a link to why they won't. I think a big problem with the NHS just now is that we're just out of 20 years of Tory rule. So before the Tories got in, the NHS had record satisfaction numbers. It was functioning fantastically, and it just doesn't function now, right? But over those 20 years, it's been stripped to bits, intentionally deprived of resources in order to eventually justify privatising it, which is a move that we're now seeing in progress, particularly particularly the English NHS. So all of this is by design. There's a shortage of doctors, but it's not a shortage of people who are trained to be doctors. It's a shortage of money to pay doctors. All of that sort of stuff is all intentional, and it's something that was enacted by the Tories, and it's something that Labour, who are now in, who are basically right wing. Labour is fucked, man. Didn't used to be. Labour's fucked now, and they are just like willing it all to happen as well because they think that in order to succeed politically, they too need to pander to all of this pish, and it's a horrible state that we're in. It really is. I'd recommend for anybody who is in this community and is needing help financially with medical stuff or anything like that, there is a fund called Cup Burger that I've got nothing to do with, but people that I know and love and care about have created a mutual aid fund, and it's called Cup Burger, and we've spoke about this a couple of times on the stream before. I want to get Dolan and people on to talk about it properly, but I know that it's impacted directly a couple of people that are cool. Private stuff, so I'm not going to tell you who or what or anything like that. But it's there. The money's there. And if you find that you don't need help, but maybe you're in a privileged position where you've got a spare couple of quid, you can donate to Cup Burger as well, and that money will be used to help the people that I've just spoken about. As a case study, I was going to approach Cup Burger to help me out with Fred's vet bills. So before the 8th of December, it looks like I need to raise about $2,500 to keep Fred alive. And to do that, I was going to sell off some of my stuff that I've got here, because I think Fred's cool, man, and I want him to be around for as long as he can be around. And if that costs $2,500, I will find a way of getting $2,500. But I think what it would be cool to do is request Cup Burger's assistance for this as well, and do that publicly. And that means if I do that on stream, I could fill in a request here, and you, the viewer, get to see Cup Burger in action. Don't worry about the name Cup Burger. It's like an in-joke. It's all made by friends. It's a community vibe. And if you're in this community or in one of the adjacent communities around all these streamers, you're welcome to apply for Cup Burger funding. And it's for exactly this that we're doing with Fred, or your own medical bills or whatever else. So I was thinking about doing that because I've got $2,500 to raise, and even if I just get a fiver off them or something like that, all of that helps and it'll add up, you know. But we'll see how it goes. I'm a bit overwhelmed with various tasks at the moment, and I'm behind on doing things like submitting stuff to the taxman and fucking closing down different accounts that should have been closed down, and changing my address on things, and finishing off jobs for different people and all of that. I'm kind of at my limit just now of tasks. So that's something that I've got on the list, but I've not actually got round to doing it. But I do need to get round to doing it sooner than later. Otherwise, I won't have money in a couple of weeks when I'm at the vet, and they're like, where's the money now? And I'm like, have you heard about a thing called Cup Burger? They're like, what? But we'll see how it goes. But But of course, right, a mutual aid fund shouldn't be necessary because, sorry, I've got dog hair all over me, because we shouldn't have to have these mechanisms to look after each other because we've already got a mechanism to look after each other. It's called tax. Anyway, I'm getting my jimmies rustled again. Sorry, guys. I'm just going through a lot just now, man. I've got a lot in my mind. Manjaro went up in price, didn't it? There are other ones, though. There's Wegovy and there's tripeptidide or something like that as well. And if they're for different manufacturers, the price might be low on them. But it's absolutely brutal, man. My dose went up £50, higher doses went up by £100. And you would need to be on a higher dose eventually, wouldn't you? So that's an extra £100 a month. I think anybody that's on it, you do titrate up to the highest dose and then that's your maintenance dose, isn't it? But surely if they spend money on things like Manjaro or whatever it's called, that will then reduce the NHS expenditure in the long run, because if there's a group of people who are at risk of lots of other comorbidities that happen, you know, when your body's a certain type or whatever, if you can reduce all of that through preventative measures, like these GLP-1 drugs, then that would be a lot cheaper than waiting until there is a life-altering thing that happens to them eventually. You know what I mean? Prevention would surely be cheaper than other things. My brain's not working very well. Spork, thank you very much for a tenner. Thank you very, very much for a tenner. I'm not getting that to Fred. I'm away to buy pizza. I'm going to get a carry out. Ha, fooled you. Kidding on. Thank you very, very much. That is going directly to the Freddie Medicine Fund. I think I need like a totalizer here, like Blue Peter. I don't need the £2,500 in one go. Every week it'll cost me between 300 and 400 quid. And that is from, I think, 2 weeks' time until the 8th of December, I think. So this whole fundraising idea that I've got for Fred, I think could work, because it's not as if bang, I need £2,500 there and then. It's a sort of pay-as-you-go sort of vibe. And then, right, see on the 8th of December, something amazing happens. My insurance policy renews for another year. So as soon as the 8th of December happens, bang, I've got four grand of free money that I can just use to treat Fred. But there is a wee gap. I can't remember when it starts, but from such and such until the 8th of December, it's out of my own pocket, and it'll cost about £2,500 or £3,000. So I think I'm going to sell my wrestling belt, and various other video game stuff or whatever else. But in order to do all that, it'll take me about a weekend of figuring things out and photographing things and figuring out how to do stuff and all of that. And as I said, I'm already at my absolute limit of stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But that's a priority, man. Need to get that done. So Lama's just put the Cup Burger URL in the chat. Cup Burger isn't for Fred, is for community stuff. Although I was considering applying to them for Fred stuff. My doc suggested massage therapy for migraines, but NHS don't cover it, obviously. If you need anything, even if it's something a bit fun for yourself that you've not been able to afford, put in a request to Cup Burger. Absolutely, definitely. People who review the requests do it in private, so none of your information gets known, even to like most other members of Cup Burger. It's a small private group that review all the requests, and the worst thing that could happen is they get denied. You know what I mean? Have a wee look, cupburger.org, if you need money for things. Sorry to hear that. I know a lot of people that have had massive benefits from using it, and now people are needing to prepare for not taking it if they can't afford it, which I know isn't easy for a lot of people. Aye, 100%. Isn't there a risk of just stopping things like Mongiarno cold turkey as well? Do you need to taper down? Like, does it give your body a sort of spike shock if you just stop using it? Because even tapering down, like if you wake up tomorrow, you realise, shit, I can't afford this anymore, I think you still need to have to pay to taper it down over a couple of months. It's bogus how something it's like insulin prices in America. It costs something daft like £6, and yet they're charging 2.5 grand for it just because they can. And that there is evidence that we should protect the NHS and really do our best to reverse the damage that has intentionally been inflicted upon it over the course of the past 20 years. The only problem at the moment is that they're only given to people with a BMI over 38. So it's not being used for prevention, but studies are suggesting, well, no, I was talking about prevention as in people with a BMI over 38, right, will eventually have their health affected by it. They just will, right? So they might contract, I don't know about all this sort of stuff, but like diabetes or heart disease or something like that. So when I was talking about prevention, I was not talking about preventing getting to that size, but preventing getting those badness things. My brain's not working. I'm sorry that I'm using words like badness things, but you know what I mean. So you know what I'm talking about there. So if there is a group who's vulnerable to all of these concerns, if we treat them with Mounjaro or Wegovy or whatever it is, get the BMI down, then that Wegovy treatment would be preventative to stop them having a reduced quality of life due to other inevitable things that will happen as a result of them being over 38. You know what I mean? But studies suggesting you might have to take it forever, plus there are weird side effects showing up like hair and tooth loss and gastro problems. I've been looking, so the gastro problems are real for some people, and that's because it slows down the digestive rate, right? So the gastro problems for most people is like a mild discomfort rather than something that would eventually kill you or whatever. Not to minimize it because it's a big deal for a lot of people, right? The hair loss, for what I've been reading, and who knows about this shit, man, but the hair loss could be part of weight loss in general. So a lot of people on these pills are losing muscle mass and they're losing bone density from what I've been looking at. But the reason they're losing that is because they're losing weight rather than a side effect of that particular treatment. So anybody who's really big and loses weight rapidly will lose muscle and will lose bone density unless they start weightlifting. And that's a way of preventing things, particularly if they're over the age of like 40 or 50 or something like that. You need to start lifting weights if you're on these drugs, or risk losing muscle mass and bone density. So I don't think those things are linked. I've not heard about tooth loss though, so that's interesting. So I'll give a wee read about that. But what's cool about Wegovy anyway is that diabetic people have been using it for about 10, 20 years already. So the long-term effects of it have already been studied, which is kind of cool. For the newer ones, I'm not too sure about that. All of this as well is just going off of what people have said on YouTube as well. So I'm not a doctor. Please don't take any life advice from me. But it seems to me like for a lot of people, although there are side effects and shortcomings of using these drugs, it's a risk-reward thing, isn't it? So I think for most people, if you're at a certain state that your body is in, I think the rewards would be higher than the risk for a lot of people. But it's down to a case-by-case basis, isn't it? Which is why all this sort of stuff should be still prescribed by a doctor and everything and not just ordered on the internet. So there are definitely problems in it, but it's like every treatment will have some sort of side effect. Vaccines are great, but vaccine injury does happen and stuff like that. So it's a sort of trade-off as to for things. But I see these Wegovy jabs as a wonderful thing, and it's technology. And I reckon, so I read about a year ago that the patent that is owned by one of the Swedish companies or a Norwegian company or something like that is going to expire in 2030. And that means that the price of that particular drug will be severely diminished. So instead of £300 a month, it could be down to like £3 a month. And as soon as we get to that stage, that will be wonderful globally for people who don't want to be overweight. I think being overweight at that point will be a lifestyle choice rather than just a thing that some people need to go through when they don't want to be going through it. So I think all of this is cool. Anything new like that, anytime there's a wonder drug out or something, people do need to be skeptical about it, and avoid marketing hype and things. But it's rare that something comes along with such potential to help people. And I've been reading a couple of the case studies and looking at a couple of vlogs of people using them on YouTube. And I think they're cool, man. Definitely. I'd be up for using them. If I had a BMI over 38. Because it's hard, man. It's like digging yourself out a hole, right? See if you're that size, you can't go running because your knees will just get fucked. You can't do much in order the conventional ways of losing weight. You can't just easily reduce your diet as well because your body is primed. You've got like ghrelin or something like that that's used to a certain amount of food. So it'll feel as if you're suffocating. Or if you are losing weight via different means, like people have been doing this for years and years and years, and folk can do crash diets, but then psychologically, when they get to their goal weight, they then revert back to the way they used to be eating. So everybody really that loses a big amount of weight ends up putting it back on, unless they adjust their lifestyle habits so that when they get to that end goal, they don't go, all right, that's us, all good, we're all good. But if you look at statistically, people try to lose weight over the past 40 years, everybody's got problems with it. Absolutely everybody who's trying to lose weight encounters issues. It's not as simple as a lot of people would say of just eat less and move more. There's loads of confounding factors that have lots of people have proposed different methods to treat that, and the most promising method that I can see just now are these GLP-1 agonists. Kate says, also, last thing saw is NHS would benefit from prescribing to more people as it minimises comorbidities like diabetes, heart issues, sleep apnea in the long run. Aye, that's what I was trying to say about preventative stuff, but just my brain wasn't functioning very well. Thumbchop, I will do a wee totaliser, 100%. Carivore, you've redeemed hydrate, but I don't have anything to drink, so I'm very sorry, no refunds. But I think we'll do a wee totaliser, a Freddy Fund totaliser. So anybody who's on Wegovy or anything like that, they should also be lifting weight, and they should also be slowly and incrementally adjusting their diet to something that will be maintainable after they get to their goal weight. And if you do both those things when you're on the medication, your chances of success are massive. But if you don't do those things, then you might not be as successful as others who are on it. Up the protein and resistance exercise will really help completely. Ozempic, exactly, Bob is occurring, is great. I think it's brilliant. I was reading some stuff for a project about how quickly your body adapts to reduce calories. So after you lose a couple of pounds, each further one gets exponentially harder to lose. But also your body is fighting to store the fat against you. Also, lots of stuff about how poor sleep in urban environments actually has a huge effect. Rather than just eat less, move more, it's really fucking hard. It absolutely is, man. Sleep is a big thing. If you don't get enough sleep, your body will just retain everything. If you're losing weight as well, your body can fight against you and go into starvation mode, thinking that there's a disaster that's happened and that there's a scarcity in food. So it'll try and preserve certain things, or it'll keep the fat and try and get energy from like your muscle mass and all of that sort of stuff. So it's hard, man. And maximum respect to anybody who's in the middle of trying to change their life with this sort of stuff. I get into this originally through a book called The Hacker's Diet, which is a weight loss strategy for computer nerds. So it's looking at the whole calories. Was there a flash there? Or did I just see something at the side of my eye? So maybe that telly or something, or maybe a shadow. Just saw a flash at this part of the screen. I'm tripping. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it was like a shadow or something went by. Don't know. Scared him on shadow. Listen, guys, my throat is really, really sore. So I'm going to go away. I don't want to be streaming anymore. And I've got to the bottom of the chat as well. So what I'm going to do is raid that silly bugger Zaffer Cakes. B Dolan's on as well. But I've raided Dolan quite recently. So I'm going to raid Zaffer Cakes instead. And I'm going to rest my voice, and it means that tomorrow's stream will be bigger and better. I might be on tonight, I might not be. Sorry I'm on late and off early, but you just have to deal with it. Listen, yous are all adults. Yous just have to deal with it. Thanks very much for coming in. Keep it real, take it easy. My name's James Houston. Houston's boosting. But before I go, here's a magic trick. See you later. Tata, love you. Bye. Bye then. Bilal's internet might be bad, and if it is, go and watch B Dolan. I'll be in both those chats. See you now. Goodbye.
Did.